Welcome back to all the fine people on the internet. So just some news of the day stuff that's been going on during the day. Intentionally saved this for later on at night. And you know, had to do my treadmill, all that other wonderful stuff. Anyways, the New Jersey Devils have claimed back Nathan Bastian. At the time that Seattle took him, there were New Jersey fans that weren't happy to see him go. He's a good energy fourth line guy. Got off to a very good start with Seattle, but there's only enough room for so many players in Seattle. It is really the way that this team was drafted by Ron Francis. There were a lot of extra players in that draft. And I remember when I looked at it, I thought, well, he's got to be trading out some of these guys, and he didn't. And so Bastian ends up going back to the New Jersey Devils. I know the fans will be happy to see him back. At least most of them, I believe, will be. And this, I think, is the right move for New Jersey. So Bastian claimed on waivers, and he ends up going to New Jersey, where he's in a playoff hunt. And while Seattle has won back-to-back games, the odds of them getting back into the playoff hunt are, well, it's still pretty slim. They'd have to win quite a few in a row to really seriously be considered for that. It is a long season, though. Charlie McAvoy, looks like he's fine after the boarding incident last night involving Zemgus Girgensons, and there was no supplemental discipline for that today. He took part in, there's community events for Thanksgiving, donations, charity stuff. McAvoy was a full participant in that today. He did get stitches last night, but it looks like he's okay. So that's good news for Bruins fans, because if something happened to McAvoy, that could absolutely take their playoff hopes and tear them up. They're below the playoff line right now, but they do have games in hand on teams ahead of them. And again, I always say this, you have to win those games in hand. So the games in hand are nice, but they're not wins yet. Josh Brown is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with an upper body injury because he's an Ottawa Senator, and all of them are getting hurt or ending up on the protocol list this year, so sure, why not? And after last night's loss, apparently DJ Smith was not happy with what he saw in net. So he singles out the goaltending after the loss. Matt Murray was the goaltender in that. Gustafson's been good. Murray has had his challenges, and again, it is the one contract you can look at on Ottawa and say, maybe a little bit high. The one thing with Ottawa is, of course, they have so many players on entry-level contracts or cheap contracts, it's not really as big a deal as it would be for another team. But it does mean that if Pierre Dorion decides he's going to try to trade Matt Murray, that contract becomes an impediment because teams are up against the cap already. So while some team may look at Murray and say, hey, we think we can get him to bounce back, they may not have the cap space to make that work. So we'll see how far that goes for Ottawa. It's become a disastrous season when it wasn't supposed to be. And yes, there are a lot of factors that played a role in that. Also, there may have been some belief that they were ready when they weren't. So that may be the biggest part of this. So I talked yesterday about the standings. I'm not doing the whole, okay, so who is or isn't going to make it. I'll mention in this video, and that'll be the end of it, the whole U.S. Thanksgiving thing, which I don't think is as valid this year because they started the schedule like a week later. So it doesn't feel like there's as many games played. But for the record, in the salary cap era, 77% of teams that are above that line end up making the playoffs at the end of the season. So that is a lot of seasons. But it also means 23% that are above the line right now probably finish out of it. So that's what, 3 teams? Three and a half teams, right, on any given season. So a lot of teams that are in the playoffs right now likely make it, which is not a surprise because, yeah, the good teams will usually get off to good starts. But it also means there are teams that are in playoff spots right now that won't be at the end of the season. Interesting note, too, was in 2019-2020, the last time that we had hockey before U.S. Thanksgiving, Arizona was above the line. Of course, they ended up finishing below it when the league went into a pause. They end up then qualifying because they upset Nashville in the play-in round to qualify for the first round, where they then lost to Colorado. But, yeah, so we'll see how many teams that are currently above the line. I didn't feel like doing that this year because I thought, we did that a couple years ago. And so I did something different with the standings yesterday instead. And so there you go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, which teams that are currently in playoff spots that won't be, which ones that aren't will be. And as long as the comment doesn't show it's edited, because people do that, they go back later and they edit their comments. But if it shows it wasn't edited and it turns out you're right, we can go back when the playoffs start and go, hey, this guy was right. Or you can just, bump the comment yourself and go, hey, check it out, I was right. So which teams that are currently in playoff spots won't be, and which ones that are under the playoff line will be above it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving in the U.S. And for those of us in Canada, well, for us here, it's been a rainy day. And there's a park that's not far from where I am that looks like there's a lot of water in it. So I don't think there'll be a lot of people in that park. But when it's raining like it is today, odds are it was a pretty empty park to start with. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.